Everyone. So today I'm going to use this opportunity to talk more about coaching in general, what I see as the function of a coach. I have this entire YouTube channel called the IntuitiveBizCoach. I've talked about things that I do with my clients. I've talked about a lot of the subject matter that I discuss with my clients and teach my clients, but I get a lot of questions about what is an intuitive coach. So it makes sense to use this time here to explain more about what I see as the function of coaching, what intuitive coaching is, and tell you a little bit more about what it is that I do. So, as an intuitive coach, the way I kind of explain it to people is, it's kind of like life coaching, except I teach people how to access their intuition and to use that to start self-orienting, to empower them to start using their intuition in their everyday, rely upon their own inner wisdom. So early on in the coaching relationship, we'll be meeting frequently and be doing tune-ins together. And this is to allow people to get used to tuning in. What does it mean? And lots of questions come up of how do I know, what I'm getting is true or not? And that's why it's helpful to have someone else there to be comparing, what is received in the readings. Not that they have to be identical. A lot of times they are not, but to just help encourage and provide that structure, provide a time and a space where, okay, we're going to sit and we're going to tune into this. It's also a time to teach people about, what is intuition, what is setting the, creative structure that we've talked about here that creates the creative tension, learning to tune into vision, learning about all that can come up in a current reality, understanding that there's an entire unconscious going on that maybe you didn't realize is happening. And that often leads to then the patterning, which is a service that I provide to my clients, and if I do their patterns, we go through all the stories of instances in their life where they went for something and they didn't get it. They unconsciously self-sabotaged, and we identify, the custom series of steps that their ego takes every time they go for something and didn't get it. Um, and with that tool, we then weave that into the coaching because it's such an incredible piece of awareness that we can now use of, oh, this is where you're at in your pattern, this is coming up for you. Oh, well, remember, this is the kind of the story of your pattern, if you will. um, and from there, as people get more and more used to tuning in and start to adopt a lifestyle of living intuitively, if you will, coaching then becomes sort of an ongoing support. So maybe we're meeting less frequently, but it's a regular time for us to check in of, where are you at with things? Because no matter how self-aware someone is, their default is their default. We're human. And so it's an opportunity for a coach, a third party, to be able to point out to the client something that maybe they haven't seen, kind of a blind spot of theirs, and kind of help them get, back on track, or perhaps they've fallen a bit stagnant. We can look at that, what's going on for you right now. And obviously, the more you work together, the greater the relationship is, because you're learning about that client more and more and seeing how things play out over and over again, and being able to draw upon that and say, oh, well, if you recall, we've learned this and we can see that happening here, et cetera, et cetera. um, so yeah, a coach is a teacher. A coach is someone who provides structure and can sometimes be the person who holds you accountable, who pushes you beyond what you think are your limits. And particularly in intuitive coaching, what's so powerful is getting people in touch with their own self-imposed limitations and pointing out to them that those are just stories. So here you have these limiting beliefs that you believed were true, but now we've come to learn actually those are just stories and they feel entirely real, but they're not. And so what if you start living your life with this knowledge of, oh, that's just a made up story. I can go beyond that. And let's tune into, what does that look like? What is that beyond? What is that true vision? So tuning into that. Um, so that's kind of what I do with individuals. Sometimes those individuals either already are or end up becoming entrepreneurs as part of their journey. They transition into starting their own business or changing careers and such. And so we can do, the same sort of thing with their business, build the vision, build what's going on in the current reality. And if there's already a set organization, come in and talk about applying intuition in the workplace. What are your goals? How does this relate to, interoffice politics, conflict resolution, all the, getting clients, serving the higher good, all those sorts of things. And in both cases, both for individuals and businesses, when we're looking at the vision, and particularly, as time goes on, what we're doing is identifying very clear end results that are true for the individual, for the business, and setting goals for each of those, and setting individual structures for each of those, so that the individual and the business is working towards those and taking action on those, following those bridges and those true next steps, all the time, every day, taking action towards those. And I come in as the coach and set that structure initially, check in with them periodically, reset when needed. And then as those end results are achieved, we renew and we move to the next set, so you're continuing to expand, continuing to grow. So that's sort of a preliminary, sort of top level summary of what intuitive coaching is all about, both intuitive coaching for individuals as well as intuitive business coaching, either for individuals or businesses, whether it be corporations, Wall Street firms, tech startups, etc., you name it. So hopefully this gives you a little more of an idea. I'll drill down some more because these are some very frequently asked questions. If you have anything in particular that you want me to address or talk about more, please let me know and I'll address that in future videos. Thanks so much. See you tomorrow.